one of the state's key focuses was the timeline that night. And when you got up and you went through all the things that would have had to have occurred to have not been Alex Murdaugh, I thought that was extraordinary, and I just want to play that for our viewers.
So what you're telling this jury is that it's a random vigilante that just happened to know that Paul and Maggie were both at Moselle on June 7th, that knew that they would be at the kennels alone on June the 7th, that knew that you would not be there, but only between the times of 8:49 and 9:02, that they show up without a weapon, assuming that they're going to find weapons and ammunition there, that they commit this crime during that short time window, and then they travel the same exact route that you do around the same time to Alameda. That's what you're trying to tell this jury?
You got a lot of factors in there, Mr. Waters, all of which I do not agree with, but some of which I do.
It's interesting, obviously that timeline was very crucial evidence, and it really tells a story. We have to remember.
Hey everybody, Crab at Cask with you today. Oh good. Okay, so let's unpack what Anderson Cooper and Creighton Waters just said there. Creighton said a lot there. I remember that. That was a big part of that trial. Boy, he was going on. Let's break it down. Because Alex's response was absolutely horrific, horrible, and it made me cringe. I was like, oh, good God. That was the worst possible answer to that. But I have the answer to that. I'm not on the stand. I'm not in the moment. So let's go through it. Yes, they knew Paul was at Moselle because Paul is, as everybody said, a heavy user of his phone. And on June 7th, yes, he was just in Columbia. He was at the baseball game. So the house was empty in Moselle. Hold on to that nugget. June 7th, and yes, he texted everybody. He snapped everybody. I'm going to Moselle. I'm going to Moselle. I'm going to Moselle. Everybody knew it. Why? Because Paul's a heavy user of his phone. Got that from his mom. Got that from his dad. And yes, they knew that they were going to be down there because Rogan Gibson had his dog down there. I mean, Rogan Gibson has known this family for years. Friends, shot together, stayed at the cabin together, played baseball together, and he made over 20 calls to Paul alone that day about this stupid dog's tail, when in the video you can see there's nothing wrong with the dog's tail. So yes, that and countless others, they all knew that Paul was going to be at Moselle and sometime at the kennels. And what people are, they do things all the time the same way. It's called a habit. Paul goes down after dinner, they eat late, and they feed the dogs. They knew that. Why? Because they knew that. Because they did that. They knew Alex would not be down there. That's not true. Those real killers were sitting in those woods, and they were waiting. I'm sure they saw Alex down there, and they waited. They didn't come out when Alex was there, because Alex normally carries a gun. So you're not going to come out with a guy who carries a gun. And besides, they didn't come there to kill Alex, and they didn't come there to kill Maggie. They came there to kill Paul, probably because Paul was going to leverage some information about Stephen Smith to get out of the boat crash, and or Mallory, one or the other or both. That's why, just Paul. So they waited, like hunters do. They sit in the woods and they waited and they waited and they waited. Let's see. Came there with no weapons. No, they came there with weapons, and they came there with the family weapons because they stole them. Yeah, along with murderers, they're also thieves, and they stole them. When they stole them, I can't tell you. But I do know that the house was empty, completely empty, the weekend before the murders. The whole family was up in Columbia watching USC baseball in the playoffs, and everybody knew they were gone. And everybody knows where the guns were, in the gun room at Moselle. You can tell me they locked the door? Yes, they did. Didn't know where the spare key was? Come on, man. Committed during the short time. Yes, they had a short time to do it. Alex was down there at about 8:44. He left at 8:46. He got back to the house at about 8:48, 8:49, and they were killed at 8:50. Yeah. And they sat there and waited after they killed him with their guns, pointing at Moselle to see if they saw headlights coming down. No headlights came. They went and got the pickup truck over at Swamp Cross Road. Who lives on Swamp Cross Road? I'm going to tell you. Maybe another video. Somebody very important lives on Swamp Cross Road. Shit. So then they go get the pickup truck. They drive in. There's two ways out of Moselle. You can go left to Almeda or Varnville, or you can go right to Almeda or Varnville. But now, if you're going into downtown Varnville, you're going to go right. But there's only two ways to go, and both ways get you there about the same time. So you're going to turn right and go to Varnville. I don't know why. You're going to go the same route. There's only two ways to go. They had a 50-50 shot. All right. And, traveled the same route because they had a 50-50 shot. I mean, come on. Come on. Some of which I agree with, some of which I don't. Alec, that was the worst response ever. Hire me as your attorney, even though I'm not one. And you're sitting over here playing golf with me, not where you are. That's what I think about that. That timeline was very helpful if you looked at it the right way. Kind of cash gap.